Peace, y'all. I want to kind of add this because number four is actually going to be coming up Sunday. So I'm still going live on Sunday, 12 p.m. That is April 12th. Let me make sure. Yep, April 12th. So, and I want to discuss Senator Bernie Sanders dropping out of this race. And this is going to be short, right? Because we need to really have this conversation um, with as many people as possible and get this conversation happening. So Bernie Sanders pretty much had a democratic socialist model, right? Where you work within um, democracy, right? And they felt like they had to put that in, that it's going to be a democracy opposed to I don't know, I guess socialism automatically comes with tyranny. Um, and or it, I don't know what they're thinking. So if that's the case, if we moving like that, then this capitalist model or democratic model that we currently have is obviously one that is it's a fascist model. We currently have a fascist model, right? So when Bernie Sanders makes that distinction, when other people are making that distinction, they're essentially saying that socialism, or and we're going to leave communism alone for right now. Socialism essentially is something that is, um, I guess it's a fascist model. Um, it's like most people are doing, socialism, and Cuba is utilizing socialism, and a more unilateral or top down, no democracy. It's not a republic. I get that, and we need to have the elements of democracy. I'm with that, but that really is a poor idea of what socialism actually is. Like socialism can operate a number of different ways, but the basics of socialism, that everybody is cared for, is looked after. So when we talk about healthcare, everybody's getting universal healthcare. To my education, everyone is provided, or rather, these particular things are human rights. These are rights under this particular system. Everyone will have education, everyone will have healthcare, everyone has a job where they're safe. So that is pretty much that's socialism, and with a general idea that everybody's needs are met. Capitalism is a system, and I don't know if it's not opposite, um, but capitalism is really this system where you have the means of production, they come down, between the people have means of production, where they can pay their employees, and they also have the workers. That's a system. But there's no protocols within capitalism that automatically says or states that you really have to treat the workers right, right? There's no system within capitalism. Some companies, they might treat you well. They make sure you get, they pay 100% of your health care. If you need to go home, no problem. Sick pay, there's not an issue, so on and so forth. And it's a place that where you love to work. You know, some companies very different. You make very little, and you have to essentially go public assistance. That's Walmart. That's a big corporation. So that says more about what capitalism is if we look at our largest capitalists, right? In the capitalist society, look at our largest capitalists, or Amazon. Right now, folks are um, they just had a strike, and Amazon, right? So Amazon, Walmart, those two companies, well, we know, well, they don't treat workers properly. So then obviously capitalism has a problem. So we're not going away from Senator Bernie Sanders dropping out of the presidential candidate presidential election. So, but I wanted to really, we really have to shape that up so we're clear when we talk about socialism. We look at it as an evil. We look at capitalism as something that brings you resources. So the trickle down theory is still a theory, and it's a failed theory because it doesn't actually work. Um, resources don't come down from the rich and in this in descent or is netted out to workers or even down to the community. It doesn't work. People send them out to their offshore accounts. Folks who are rich, they send them out to offshore accounts, trying to get the as much money as possible, hiring folks who are educated in their position, know what they need to do at their particular. So essentially, just you you are negotiating with workers, and a lot of times you're trying to get pay them as little, but get maximize your return in human resources, their intellect, their work, their labor, but also at a small amount. Because if you don't, well, you don't get enough money back. You don't get enough resources. So we need to understand that too. So why would there be even so many people that would be championing this as if they were going to be like, another a huge brand? And they're not. You're not part of the Walmart, family. So it's not even in your interest to be for this, this capitalist system. You'd really have to be a huge capitalist and really own the means of production. So you first have to get that. So now back to Senator Bernie Sanders. So people loved him for one reason. One reason, he was going to bring a fair system, level-headed guy, made more sense than Donald Trump. Kind of cared about people, even altruistic in a sense. Over here, just looking at his background and civil rights. Right, here's where it gets murky. People can have this, and obviously this particular history or some fragments of this history, because it's just not even totally consistent. But I'm not going to go into the whole history of Bernie Sanders. I'm going to give him a picture, same picture that folks have been painting who support him. You are looking for a system that is fair, and that the resources that are put in by the people are utilized and usurped by the people, right? And so that's where we are with that system. Bernie Sanders essentially was like, "Yo, I'm going after," he took some time off from the campaign, right? Only to like stop it completely. And his entire reasoning for dropping out of the campaign, he was not going to get enough delegates. They need 1,991, delegates, about 4,000, delegates in total, right? So, and he's about like 300, delegates, below. There's about 4,000 delegates, and I believe um, former Vice President Biden had about 300 more than he did, about 1,200. Bernie, you can still do it. I mean, New York hasn't had its primary. A bunch of places didn't have their primary. Still, quite a bit more that can be done. Bernie essentially said no, and I think that we should really be pretty clear on that. that Bernie essentially said he's going to drop out of the campaign for those reasons. He said that he could not make up the amount of uh, uh, um, delegates uh, that Biden had versus him, right? He wouldn't be. That was his reason. So his reasoning has nothing to do with COVID-19. So I want to be clear about that. He didn't say that that was his reasoning. But the reality is, we need, and what people in America have been recognizing around the world actually, is that folks need socialism. When the pandemic happens, we need folks to ensure our job, ensure our income, to take care of things like healthcare, uh, have proper education. Uh, Folks need to take time off. Our healthcare need to be intact. We have a pandemic, and it's scaring a lot of people. We need psychologists. We need our dentists. We need to be able to see our regular doctor. We check up our family doctor, our physicians. We need them. We need our nurses, especially at this particular time. A lot of workers, sanitation workers, are put in, harm's way. So we need those folks to be, we need to focus on them. What happens is a lot of times the government goes ahead and it just focuses on like big businesses, which is problematic for, all of us. So what I'm saying is, Senator Bernie Sanders, we heard you loud and clear. The time is right for it. Now you're leaving, you're abandoning us. I mean, the critique you had for, and everyone else has had for Senator Biden, I mean, Vice President Biden, was hard. Was says that he may be racist. Elizabeth Warren supports um, Cory Booker. Who else? I'm leaving out a bunch of everybody essentially. Goes ahead, even after saying that he was problematic, we're going to support him, suggesting that the man is even racist, we're going to support him. Bernie Sanders says this is a stand-up guy. How can somebody be a stand-up person with his particular track record? Senator Harris, Kamala Harris, stated that it was former Vice President Biden who was the person responsible for voting against, who was one of the gentlemen who was responsible for um, stopping the busing of young black children during segregation um, to these white schools. Then she went and turned around and supported Biden. Not too confusing, for me. A lot of folks, this not going to be confusing for. Um, but it's just weird. It just says that, well, we're not going to listen to these folks, anymore. But to be very clear, you have to be looking at folks' background. Look at folks, background. But I was already a person who was not going to support Senator Bernie Sanders. I wasn't going to support him because, well, he didn't support reparations. Um, he's still very much in support of the way Israel treats Palestinians. Um, that wasn't going to change. and I thought everything he was saying was lip service, which I'm clearly correct in that lip service. And I'll say the one last thing is that the problem is last year, not last year, 2016, when Bernie found out that the Democratic National Convention pulled the rug out from under him. What did he do? He said, I'm going to support whatever candidate you had. So he supported Hillary Clinton, right? So he supported the Secretary Hillary Clinton and said, I'm just going to go along with it. What do you think he's going to do now? He's going to go along with Biden. And so it didn't come. He didn't endorse yet, but he's going to endorse. And the endorsement just says that he's more worried about himself, right? And anything that he has in the foreseeable future or unforeseeable future is necessary, even at the expense of people. Because if people, and that's why I didn't believe in him. That's my key reason. Why would you go in 2016 go ahead and support somebody who's not going to bring out anything close to your policies? Why would you even support that? Because we want to get Trump out. But this is the best time to echo that. So many people should be listening right now and open to, this socialism, beginning or sparking. Even the elements, just the regular, just some of the elements of socialism. So that's what I'm going to say. And we'll expand on that conversation, that discussion Sunday, April 12th, 12 p.m. All right. Peace.